I'm going to break down absolutely everything we know so far about Assassin's Creed Mirage for you, so by the end of this video, you can decide if this new title is worth your time, attention, and hard-earned cash. I've also, of course, put timestamps on this big boy video for you down below, as it's very important to me not to waste your time, so you can always come back to this video or skip ahead to a particular topic that you're most interested in. Now, let's start with some general overview info about Assassin's Creed Mirage, so we're all up to speed and we're all on the same page, because the game will be releasing on October the 5th, not October the 12th. It's been brought forward a whole week and it will be available on consoles and PC, including the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So it's not just a next gen or current gen, I should say, exclusive, as this game was originally planned to be an Assassin's Creed Valhalla expansion, which has since morphed into this full individual standalone game. It has also gone gold, which means that it's been signed off by industry testers, which means that it's in solid condition. And when I played 6 hours at Ubisoft Bordeaux Studios, I only came across one bug and I threw Bassam around quite a lot to try and break the game, so good news there. Additionally, Stefan Boudon, creative director, confirmed that there will be no DLCs, expansions or post-launch content, so you've got around 15 to 25 hours of Mirage in terms of getting to that 100% completion, as confirmed to me in person. And then we won't have any other mainstream AC content until Japan next year, which will be releasing around October 2024. Now, final mention, I played the game at 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second, so that's all the footage that you can see right now in this video. But just like Valhalla, we will be able to play this game at an upscaled 4K graphical setting with 60 FPS, as Mirage runs on the exact same engine as Valhalla. And I'll pop the PC requirements that have been recently released on your screen right now officially, so if you plan to play the game off console, you've got a better idea of what you're working with here. Now, let's swiftly go through the different game editions of Mirage and what you get inside them, so you know exactly what Ubisoft are offering you as an incentive to purchase them before launch. Firstly, we have the standard edition of the game, which is just the base game with no extras, that at the time of recording is coming in at £44 and €50 and dollars for my European and American friends. And important to note here, if you pre-order the standard edition or any other of these editions that we're going to go through, you will gain access to the 40 Thieves quest, which is similar to the Way of the Berserker quest. And if I remember correctly, that quest was made available to everyone on Ubisoft Connect for 60 Ubisoft units after around 2 months or so after release of Valhalla, by the way. So do keep that in mind if you're considering pre-ordering just for this particular quest, as I imagine that Ubisoft will do the same thing and just release the actual quest on Ubisoft Connect for Mirage around about 2 or 3 months after. Now, we also have the deluxe edition here, which is coming in at £49 and $59 and euros, where you will pick up the base game, of course, but you'll also get your hands on the sand skins for Basim, your horse, and Eagle, as well as the sand outfit and sand sword, and the very famous Dagger of Time, if you're familiar with the Prince of Persia series, because that's what this set is inspired by. Additionally, you'll also bag yourself a digital art book with 78 pages of various Mirage concept art and designs, as well as the official soundtrack of the game. And finally, the outfit dye called the Desert Sands Initiate of Alamet, where you'll be able to apply this color to your own robes in game, as you can see here. Now, Ubisoft are also releasing a collector's edition of the game, which is coming in at £129 and $149 and euros for the rest of the world. You'll of course pick up everything in the deluxe edition, but also grab yourself a Mirage collector's case, including a 32cm statue of Basim, which doesn't look too bad at all, to be fair, as well as an exclusive steelbook case, which was chosen by the community in a poll to keep your disc in. You'll also get a map of Baghdad, which is the same in-game, of course, as well as a mini art book and physical soundtrack of the game. On top of all that, you'll also pick up a replica of Basim's brooch, and I asked the narrative director Sarah Bellew about this in a one-on-one interview in Bordeaux, and she confirmed to me that this brooch is sentimental to Basim and is made out of the earthenware pottery from his home in Samara, with the tapestry pattern actually being inspired by Sarah's own childhood home in game. So a wonderful inclusion by the team here. And as for the amount of stuff you actually get in this collector's edition, to be honest with you, I'm really impressed, as its cost is relatively low compared to the collector's editions or other collector's editions released by different studios for their games in the last 12 months. Now, no Mirage storyline spoilers here in this video, of course, but I'm going to give you a brief recap on what this game is all about, so you're all up to speed on where we are in the Assassin's Creed universe right now, because Mirage is set in the year 861 in Baghdad, which is 12 years before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where we play as a young street thief called Basim, who grew up in Samara and is recruited into the Hidden Ones organization, who are the precursors of the Assassin's Brotherhood and operate out of the ongoing construction of the very famous castle of Alamut. We subsequently follow his progress through the ranks until he becomes a master assassin under the tutelage of Roshan, whilst we dismantle Baghdad's Order of the Ancients, who are also the precursors to the Templar Order. But one of the most interesting things about Basim is that he is actually the human reincarnation of the Isu god Loki, who we learnt of in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and has a lifelong rivalry with fellow Isu Odin, who was reincarnated inside Eivor. Now, Eivor went on to imprison Loki in the Super Isu computer, stay with me here, after locking him away in this life support grey abyss for centuries until he was released in 2020 in the modern day setting by Layla Hassan, with the team confirming, by the way, that there will be no modern day gameplay in this new Mirage game. Incidentally, the cool thing about Mirage is that we will experience Isu Loki taking control of Basim's own mind and his consciousness, where they will both become one and the same essentially. Sarah also confirmed to me in the same interview that we will see how the story of Valhalla begins and how the story of Mirage ends. So there is a transition in these two stories that we will see play out here in this new game. She also went on to say further that there will be no dialogue choices in Mirage, and the game is all based around a linear narrative storyline progression that, as Stefan Boudon, the creative director, puts it, can be compared to AC Revelations in terms of a condensed story. So it isn't an open world game per se, even though you can kind of do open world game things, but we will be able to experience the golden age of Baghdad, which is a dense and vibrant city. And let's talk about that now, because exploration is always one of the biggest selling points in any recent AC RPG game. But Mirage is going a slightly different way here, because the game is a third of the size of Valhalla in terms of content, with Jean-Luc Sala, the art director for Mirage, stating that we can expect the city of Baghdad to be as dense as Paris in AC Unity or Constantinople in AC Revelations, which is around 2.4 kilometers squared. And for reference, that is very small compared to Valhalla's map, which is 140 kilometers squared. And if my editing is firing on all cylinders, as you can see here, you can see that Mirage is coming in around 60 times smaller than Valhalla, with some wilderness to explore outside of the city grounds, which I did try to explore, by the way, when I had my playtest. But as soon as I jumped over the city walls, the developers reeled me back in. Now, some cool things to note about this map. First of all, in the city, there are 4 districts, and let me run you through what each one is now and give you more of a steer on what they are responsible for in the game world. Kark is the market district of the game, with large crowds and trade goods arriving from Constantinople, China and Spain. We then have the industrial district of Harbiya, which is a dense, grimy part of the city where slavers, orphans and thugs try to make a living. On top of that, we have the center of Baghdad, called the Round City, which was also known as the City of Peace, where gardens, fountains and the impressive Caliphal Palace was situated. And finally, Abbasiyya, the cultural hub of Baghdad, where we'll find the famous House of Wisdom, where scholars, philosophers, scientists and astronomers gather to share their own knowledge. So there is a wide variety inside this city here that is historically accurate and interesting from a gameplay point of view for our assassin playground, as each district varies in difficulty, and when you hover your map icon over each region, you'll be able to see its name, rank, opportunities and progress, which we'll break down next, because there are a couple important things for you to know when you're running around Baghdad. Firstly, we have 15 brand new mounts here in the game which you can ride and also hijack like a 9th century GTA mechanic, but I wouldn't recommend riding them in the city itself, as they're very slow and unresponsive just due to the density and the amount of turns and corners and people. I just found it to be quite cumbersome, and I think you'd be better off actually taking a canal boat, which operates in the city as you quite expect. It's quite rapid to get from one end to the other, so worth a consideration there. There's also a lot of in-game historical locations which you can interact with, and they look like white glowing Animus orbs, which provide you with more context on what was happening in Baghdad inside and outside the city walls in that time period. You'll also be able to pet cats, of course, which returns here from Valhalla, which is a good thing. And there is a really immersive mechanic at play, because the team have added in the Hathan in-game, and I do apologize for my rogue pronunciation there, but that is the Muslim call to prayer, which you will hear as you travel around Baghdad. It was included in AC Revelations, but only as part of the soundtrack, if I remember correctly, whereas in Mirage, it happens independently in-game, and and you can see people pray, attend the local mosques, and they can't be interrupted in-game out of respect to them. There are also short narrative side quests called the Tales of Baghdad, which will touch on key cultural subjects that were important in the time period, like astronomy and literature, which will give you more of an idea of what this world was all about back in the 9th century. And it's one of the reasons why I absolutely love Assassin's Creed games. Now, I want to move on here and take you through the in-game map, which Ubisoft is allowing me to show you. And let's first zoom in and take a look at the map icons and what they actually mean. The question mark here is an untracked quest objective or marker that hasn't yet been selected in the menu. And if we just move across here to the left, we have our eagle wings, which clearly indicates the location of our viewpoints or synchronization points, where we can open up more of the map in terms of visibility after performing a leap of faith off it. South of that, we have our AC emblem, which identifies one of the 3 assassin bureaus in the districts inside Baghdad, where we'll be able to conduct main quests and side content via the bureau contract board. And finally, on this map here in particular, we have a circular dot to the northwest from the bureau, which is an undiscovered location that has significance in this game because it shows historic locations, bandit camps, and fortresses that we need to discover, to name just but a few. Now let's move on to another map clip Ubisoft have kindly shown us here, starting with this musical quaver note, which are our musicians that we can hire using Scholar Khidmah tokens that distract the guards and move them away from their guard stations, with the icon to the right of that being 2 people, which identifies the Baghdad merchants that we can use to blend into certain places or areas undetected, as also teased in some game dev footage released several weeks ago. And if we just move across to the left above the musicians, we also have what looks to be a wanted poster torn in half, which is actually a herald in game and not actually a wanted poster, as they don't show up on your map, where we can actually pay him to lower our wanted level, just like in the Ezio games. And speaking of which, let's zoom back out and then zoom into this icon, which may be familiar to some of you old school fans, as it's a needle and thread. That, of course, being the tailor, where we will need to upgrade our outfit and its perks, which we'll discuss later on in this video. But to the left of that, we've got ourselves a standard bag icon denoting the general trader, where we can sell all of our venerable items for coins that we can then spend on stuff that we actually want to purchase, like specific outfits or dyes, as you can see here. Now let's zoom into our gold chest at this location, which reprises itself from Valhalla, clearly identifying a gear chest in game. And if we zoom back out again but shoot across to the top of the district here, we can see another icon that will also be familiar to you Valhalla players, as this is our historical site where we'll be able to learn more about notable locations and everyday living in Baghdad within that time period, as a discovery tour style mechanic has been implemented in Mirage from launch, which are the glowing white orbs, as you can see here in what we discussed earlier. Now, north of that site, we also have 2 swords crossed, which is our blacksmith, where we can upgrade our weapons, those being the sword and dagger. And again, I will break that down for you very shortly alongside the tailor, because I'm just going to zoom out here and I want to bring your attention to this map panel, because this suggested rank gauge denotes which district we should enter depending upon our assassin rank and subsequent progression in the game at that particular time, which I also briefly mentioned earlier. So if you're an initiate and the district says the recommended level here is Master Assassin, it's going to be a bit more challenging for you. But more interestingly, I want to bring your attention to the Mysterious Shards panel here, which I reckon may be the currency leading to EC related armor set of some kind in this game, kind of like in AC Origins, but instead of silica as a currency that we needed to collect in that game, we have to collect these Mysterious Shards in Mirage in this game. And I randomly looted one of these shards off a civilian, so I do think they're going to be quite hard to find, hence the ESU special reward. But let's just wait and see on that one. Now let's go over combat and what you should expect from it, because all animations have been revamped from Valhalla, with the emphasis in this game being all about stealth and assassinations, with Jean-Luc Salah stating that close combat is not Bassim's thing. So in that regard, the one-on-one combat isn't drastically different from the most recent games, but I did enjoy it when I played, and the reason for that is Bassim is a complete glass cannon, and that's what Jean-Luc Salah was talking about there, because he can do decent amounts of damage quickly when using light and heavy attacks with this sword and dagger, which by the way are the only weapons in the game, with fist combat only being an option at the start of Mirage, while Bassim is a street thief and initiate of the Hidden Ones, just to manage your own expectations. limitations there. But the reason that Basim is so squishy is that he is designed to be two-shotted by certain enemies. So parrying and dodging are extremely important if you're out of stealth and in combat. That said, I put close quarters combat to the test several times to understand its limitations and capabilities in Mirage, where I purposefully aggroed lots of enemies together because I wanted to see if they would queue up to hit me like some of the recent and predominantly older AC games, which just wasn't the case, meaning enemies will attack you quite rapidly at simultaneous times, which does end up doing severe damage to you as you can't dodge or parry every single incoming attack from multiple directions, including attacks that you can't see off your screen, as they are very quick to actually occur. However, the same mechanical principles apply here in Mirage from Valhalla, where incoming red attacks from enemies are unblockable, so you'll need to dodge out of the way of those, which actually consumes a lot of stamina that is in very short supply in this game, so you can't just spam it constantly, and the quickest way to regain stamina is actually to parry incoming yellow highlighted attacks, and that kind of forces you into this parry-centric way of playing like the older games, and this is specifically designed this way, so when you need to parry and then kick back enemies to break their defense bar, you can then get a one-shot kill animation pop up for your next parry rotation. On top of that, the development team have implemented a variety of new and visceral kill animations that felt very satisfying to constantly trigger, with the only occasional locked-in kill screen, which was really welcome to see because it kept the combat flowing really quite nicely. It also made the fights a little bit more challenging than Valhalla in my opinion, because there is a higher risk of death that I really like and genuinely did feel in game, as I had to run away to hide because I didn't want to die and then load my previous save. But I do want to manage your expectations because Mirage still follows the same RPG combat mechanics in terms of parrying, dodging, light and heavy attacks with a variety of instant kill opportunities. It's just really a lot more difficult or challenging to thread that all together in this game, as the enemies rush you from all sides and do significantly more damage, which is a good thing in my opinion. Now, if you are enjoying this breakdown so far, please do leave a very swift like down below, because these videos take a pretty crazy amount of time to make, so thanks very much for your support. Now, whilst we're on the topic of combat, let's breeze through a few new standout enemies that you need to be aware of, starting with the flamethrower wielding enemy, which is very similar to the Pyro Bandit we've recently seen in AC Valhalla, which did huge amounts of damage in that game. And I reckon this enemy in Mirage may be a Nafata thrower, which was a genuine Arabic military unit in the 15th century who wielded crude oil in a clay lamp object to then use as a flamethrower against enemies, as you can see here. They're cool to go against in combat, and you'll need to spam the dodge button to roll and put out the fire if you get caught in his kill zone. We also have these large armored enemies which can only be damaged from behind, so you'll need to time your parries and dodges correctly so you can do significant amounts of damage behind him, with the elite bounty hunter here called the Shakiriyar spawning after you reach the max wanted or notoriety level, which we'll go through together very shortly. But he matches all of Basim's in-game moves and is by far the most challenging world mini-boss fight to kill, or that I came across in my short time with the game. We also have archers spawning on rooftops that are part of local patrols to offer a bit of offensive range attacks that can also be parried by yourself at the correct time, with your spearmen and swordsmen offering a selection of close quarters to mid-combat options here as well. And all of these individual enemies don't really offer anything new per se, but when combined together, it does keep you on your toes because you do have to be engaged throughout the fight, otherwise you will die very quickly due to Basim's low tolerance for damage taking. Now, these patchwork enemy types aside, we also of course have the Order of the Ancients, who are a secret society that has infiltrated the halls of power in Baghdad that we need to dismantle through assassinations and stealth. And that's a great transition onto that topic now, because stealth, in my honest opinion, is certainly the most or biggest improvement in terms of mechanics from Valhalla. And I spoke to one of the senior game designers, Marco Maresca, at his desk while he was working on the game, where he showed me the immense amount of detail and work that's actually gone into improving stealth, ensuring that the enemies authentically spot you when you're not in social stealth or in cover. And I could really feel the improvements in the game by not being detected as quickly, and blending into crowds with social stealth just felt so smooth and natural when actually walking into them. In fact, it was so solid, I almost forgot it was something I was actively trying to do, as in I would just walk into a group of people and immediately melt into the crowd and disappear from the guards. So it kind of became a quick automatic thing I I would do after performing something illegal, which was really great as I did feel confident that the system would work and that I could actually rely on it in game. Incidentally, you can really utilize the tools to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you whilst remaining in stealth, and using this as an example, I used the noisemaker tool to bring all of the enemies together, followed by a smoke bomb, which allowed me to perform a triple kill with nobody none the wiser here, which was really satisfying and quite refreshing to do in an Assassin's Creed game. Now, another option in your stealth inventory is using Assassin Focus, which is an ability that allows you to teleport between different enemies and instantly assassinate multiple targets in succession after you tag them before you initiate the move. In fact, thanks to this great clip from Your Raptor, who I met in Bordeaux, by the way, really nice guy, you can teleport to the top of buildings with this move. And I've also popped his video down below if you haven't seen that yet, which is very similar to the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC, by the way, where you could do the same thing with the power of Jotunheim ability. So a kind of reprisal here in this game. Now, this can only be triggered out of combat and by clicking the right controller stick to mark all your targets to begin the sequence, using up your Assassin Focus bars, which increase as you level up while playing the main narrative. Now, the lore or canon justification of this move is that the Animus cannot render Basim's movements that fast because he's actually the Isu Loki. So he's not really teleporting, but rather just glitching through the Animus, with Jean-Luc Sala going on to state about this, that this is a video game, enjoyment comes first, so Mirage won't be 100% historically accurate, which is why this ability is in the game. Speaking of marking targets, you can also use Enkidu, our eagle companion, to scout the area and mark points of interest or enemies before we plan our stealth route, as you can also hide killed enemies in various hiding spots, as their bodies will alert guards if they come across them in the wild if you just leave them there, just like the older AC games. Now, one of the great things about this game, in my honest opinion, is the introduction of, or reintroduction you could say, of the tools, as they really enhance the combat and stealth gameplay. And let's go through each one now swiftly so you get a better visual understanding of what each one does in this game. Firstly, we of course have the torch, which reprises itself from previous AC games, which is a simple source of light and fire to illuminate our way and find hidden doorways or chests in game. Secondly, we have the blow dart, which is capable of putting targets to sleep or can be altered to apply poison to alternatively cause the enemy to go into Hulk mode and start smashing other enemies in the vicinity. Thirdly, we have the smoke bomb, which releases a thick cloud of smoke, allowing us to return to stealth, as you can see here, which is a nice homage to the older games with that lingering last scene Animus animation there. Fourthly, we have the noisemaker tool, which is a small explosive that draws attention away from us in game, which can also be engineered back at the bureau into a weapon to do damage like a ranged grenade. And for our fifth tool, we have the trap device, which is a non-lethal proximity explosive capable of knocking down enemies temporarily and can be made more deadly with poison. And for our final sixth tool, we have the throwing knife, which allows us to assassinate targets from a distance and was incredibly satisfying to use in my playtest, especially when you charge it back for extra power and get that instant kill headshot. Now, each tool can be upgraded back at the assassin bureaus, so they can have their uses altered. For example, you can turn a smoke bomb into a poison smoke bomb, as you can see here. And I did ask Ubisoft if I could walk you through each upgrade of the tools, but unfortunately, I can't at this moment in time. However, it's really important that you don't overlook this mechanic in game. And I'll give you another example here, because after pulling the whole map, I wanted to test the quality of smoke bombs, which ended up allowing me to perform instant kill assassinations when dropping it on several enemies at once, especially if you unlock the chain assassination skill, which allows you to clear an area so unbelievably fast, it's actually crazy overpowered. And this is just one example, but yeah, it's definitely worth upgrading in the early game stages, in my honest opinion. There are also only two ways to use tools. The first is by opening up your tool wheel, which slows down time and allows you to select a different tool quickly, which then allows you to manually control where you would like to throw or place your tool, as you can see here. But you can also do this even faster by activating a tool instantly by using the quick use option, where you'll need to hold the RT or R2 button on your controller and then press the associated button assigned to the corresponding tool to then drop it instantly, which works very well with smoke bomb spam if you're running away or in the middle of a combat pinch. But important to note here, this quick option mechanic doesn't allow you to throw projectiles. It's just tools that can be instantly thrown at your feet, so there isn't a instant headshot lock and kill with a throwing knife, for example. Now, stealth and tools combined is how the devs really want us to play this game, especially in black box missions, and I've noticed a few of you have been asking what they actually are in recent AC videos I've made, so I'm just going to clarify that now. So we're again all up to date and we're all on the same page, as they will be playing a instrumental role in Mirage. Now, black box missions is a name used to describe important narrative missions which allows us to choose and plan the approach of a kill rather than going through a predetermined or linear path to the target, which essentially means that you can get creative and decide for yourself how you would like to assassinate a target, like in the Hitman games, and the most recent example of this black box mission mechanic in an AC game being in the Siege of Paris DLC in Valhalla around a year and a half ago. Now, because there's a variety of different routes and ways to kill your target, you'd perhaps want to go back and try and complete a new way or see what differences there were from your first playthrough. Well, I asked Sarah Bellew, the narrative director, about this in an interview, and unfortunately these missions are not replayable per se, but there is a way that will allow you to replay them. And to do that, she said that what we'll need to do is save our game manually just before we're about to start a black box mission, and we'll know this is about to happen because a cutscene plays before each one, accompanied with an on-screen warning, and this is the moment where we will need to manually save the game so we can then reload that black box manual save later down the line, so we can then try different routes or tactical options to then experience a different black box stealth mission. Of course, it would be great to run up to some sort of flashing orb in game to replay the mission once it's completed, but loading a save is what the devs are suggesting we do here due to its narrative components if we want to replay them over and over again. Now, one thing that will be replayable over and over again without the need for manual saves are the contracts that we can proactively undertake on the investigation board in our assassin bureaus inside those Baghdad districts. And as described by Stefan Boudon, these bureaus are gameplay hubs where we can pick up new side quests, missions, and contracts that will then go on to identify some of the major players in the Order of the Ancients in Baghdad. And we do this by accepting a variety of different missions on this contract board, with the swords meaning clear an area of specific enemies, the fortress and the hand icon here being stealing an item from that location, and the hidden blade skull being, of course, assassinate a specific target. Now, I played one of these optional contracts called the Botanist in Bordeaux with optional mission objectives also in play for each one of these contracts, where we will be able to earn bonus XP and rewards for fulfilling those objectives, such as remaining in stealth, as you can see here. So we don't want to be detected essentially, and we'll get a lot of bonuses for doing so. So think of these contracts as a mixture of replayable assassin missions that are very optional, with a few of them feeding directly into the main narrative and providing clues for your investigation board, which is another big mechanic in your menu system, which I can't unfortunately show you in detail in this video, but I can show you this limited amount of B-roll that Ubisoft has said, hey Andy, it's okay for you to use this. And if you've played the Wrath of the Druids expansion in Valhalla, then this will look very familiar to you, because you'll need to collect clues around the world to progress quests, which upon completion of those quests will then identify targets that you'll then need to kill to subsequently unlock a main target that contributes to the Order of the Ancients grip on the city of Baghdad, otherwise known as that black box mission that we just discussed. So it's essentially following the breadcrumbs here, where you can speed up this process by spending Khidmah tokens with certain quest individuals that will then provide you with a clue instantly if you just paid them off with that one token. And that's a great transition onto what these tokens actually are in this game, because I found my playthrough to be a lot more enjoyable when I had a good stockpile of them available to use. And that's because there are 3 different types of Khidmah tokens which can be individually spent with 3 separate factions. The merchant tokens here are used to hire merchant groups, which will allow you to blend in with them and access restricted areas, as we mentioned earlier with the map icon walkthrough, as well as being able to purchase discounts at vendors and even opening restricted chests around the world. We then have the scholar tokens, which you can use to pay musicians to then distract the guards in the vicinity, and as you can see me doing here, it does have a very large aggro radius, which I think is a really good thing for this game. It can also be used as a currency to buy maps from a cartographer vendor that shows hidden treasures and chests on the map, but I wasn't allowed to visit that shop in my playthrough, unfortunately. And thirdly, power tokens here, which can be used to hire mercenaries to attack local guards, and they absolutely steamroll enemy NPCs, so a big recommendation from me here, as it's an incredibly advantageous distraction because they literally clear the way for you. Now, you can also use these power tokens to bribe heralds, or manandi as they're called in the game, game to completely wipe your notoriety meter, which we'll go through in just a moment, because another reason why these tokens are so valuable to us is that you can also use them during missions and crucial assassination events, which makes the missions arguably a lot more enjoyable because you can skip whole side quest missions by just handing over one of these tokens to NPCs straight away instead of doing a random standard fetch quest for them, which is quite boring in my opinion, who are then more than happy to give you a clue to help progress your investigation in identifying one of your targets on your investigation board. Now, the game also says the best way to obtain these tokens is by completing contracts in your bureaus, side world quests, and main missions. But what I found to be the most effective way to get these tokens quickly was simply to walk around the main bazaar and just pickpocket everyone I saw using Eagle Vision. This is a mini game, by the way. It's just about timing your button presses within the diamond icon to ensure successful pickpocketing and remaining unnoticed. But if you do miss, the NPC that you're trying to steal from will subsequently call for a guard. But when you are successful, this also has the added advantage of generating a lot of coins, as these NPCs carry some very valuable items which you can then sell to a vendor for a lot of silver that you can then use to buy different armor, cosmetics, talismans, weapons, and dyes, but more on that later. Because let's discuss this notoriety or wanted meter, because I think it's one of the best things in the game, and it does have a real impact on your playthrough if you don't stay on top of it. And that's because your notoriety will increase rapidly at the smallest of actions, such as being caught pickpocketing a civilian in a marketplace, or let's say being alone with a guard one-on-one, because even if you're trading blows with an enemy and other enemies are not around, that'll still increase your wanted level because you're seen to be committing illegal acts in public by all of those other NPCs around you. Now, your notoriety level can reach 3 levels, which I found really easy to max out very quickly, with the first one being civilians actively pointing you out to guards. You can even hear them calling the guards out to come and apprehend you, which is a very cool detail from a world building standpoint. The second level being an increase of archers on the rooftops, and the third being the most exciting in-game AI response in my opinion, which is when the Shakiraya elite guard, who we mentioned earlier, starts hunting you down. And let me tell you, this dude hits like a freight train, as you can see here. And one of the reasons why he's so difficult is he definitely matches Basim's offensive and defensive moves in game, as we mentioned earlier. He also heals himself with potions and performs a counter unblockable attack which does solid damage. That said, I did manage to kill him, and as a reward he dropped a mercenary token as well as healing potions and throwing knives. Now, when I saw his loot, to be honest with you, I was a little bit disappointed, as I was expecting something a little bit more substantial from such a challenging boss like an armor set or new weapon, at least for the first time that we kill him anyway. But it did take me a few minutes to realize that by killing him, we reset our notoriety meter entirely. So if you don't want to spend your time ripping down wanted posters or bribing heralds with your valuable faction tokens, let him come to you and reset your wanted meter after putting him down, only if you feel confident in your close quarters fighting capabilities. Now, as for parkour, Fabian Salaman, the production manager of Mirage, stated that Basim's movements have all been designed from scratch to express what it really feels like to be a professional assassin rather than a Viking, with Marco Maresca, the senior game designer we spoke about earlier, adding that all the movement animations have been improved from Valhalla to add to that feeling of swift fluidity which can be seen frequently in the new pole vaulting mechanic or vaulting over obstacles at high speeds when running on the ground. Incidentally, he also said it's an easy mechanic to master, with its design being based on the Ezio games, where it was all about keeping the flow and momentum going, which I can certainly attest to for sure, as it does feel like it has been improved from Valhalla, where Basim does genuinely feel a lot faster and more responsive than Eivor, which is a positive for me. As you can kind of see here in the footage that I've recorded, I was actually also throwing Basim around a lot in game to kind of get a good feeling of the reaction of different turns and movements and dodges and rolls and sprinting. And to be honest with you, Basim felt fast, reactive and intuitive on a ground level. That said, there were a few times where I would direct Basim to grab onto a ledge, jump onto a neighboring roof, or traverse onto a particular object at a certain angle, and it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't react very well, which would then immediately stop that awesome parkour flow state that I'd kind of got myself into. So it's not on a Assassin's Creed Unity level, and I think it's good to manage your own expectations there before you jump into the game. But what I would say is a super positive for me is the layout of all of the rooftops across the city. city, where the developers have clearly taken a great amount of care in creating various parkour routes that intermingle with one another, which means that you can easily navigate and parkour across the city rooftops, changing direction at will, but still reaching your map target. With all of these routes, I feel, in my opinion, flowing wonderfully well together and making it very easy to navigate. And if you then combine that with the new and improved cloth physics when jumping off buildings or going for an assassination, it just looks great, and I really appreciate the attention to detail and the upgrade here in this game, specifically compared to Valhalla. Now let's discuss how skills work in this Mirage game, because they are dependent upon each other, which means that if we want to unlock the most impactful and important skills at the end of each of the 3 trees, we'll then need to unlock all of the skills before them, so a mandatory skill progression system, so to speak. Now these 3 skill trees are Phantom, Trickster, and Predator, with the Phantom branch revolving around agility and efficiency, such as the chain assassination mechanic here, which is similar to AC Valhalla, where upon assassinating someone, you can then throw your knife instead of an axe, essentially, to then kill the other enemy in the vicinity. But I also had a locked-in chain assassination animation on the ground level, as you can see here. So after unlocking it, it does seem to also take care of the second enemy as a kind of kill screen as well, which I think is a good thing. Now, as for the Trickster branch, this focuses on handling resources and tools, such as increasing the quantity of items that you can pickpocket from NPCs in the world. We then have the Predator branch, which increases Basim's insight and perception, where you can upgrade your Eagle Enkidu to identify secret passageways, showing us new routes that we can then use to enter restricted compounds. Now, I'd love to go through each skill individually for you, but unfortunately, again, Ubisoft said no when I asked. But what's important to know in this game is that you can't unlock every single skill, so you need to choose which ones will be best fitting of your playstyle, with no confirmation as of yet how many skill points is the cap limit right now. Incidentally, you can reset your skills, so don't worry if you accidentally spend a point in a particular skill that you don't like, and you'll also gain these skill points rapidly for completing the main story narrative when you attain each assassin rank, those being Initiate, Apprentice, Novice, Disciple, Assassin, and Master, and you'll earn a significant amount of points at each rank respectively. So don't worry about running around and doing all of the side quests in the world to grind out skill points early, unless you want to, of course, but as the story kind of rewards you with the majority or lion's share of skills, which is how they want us to play the game. Now let's move on and break down the inventory menu and how armor, gear, weapons, and general customization works in Mirage, because I'm pleased to say it's really quite simple. And I think it's important to distinguish, though, the difference between the outfit and the costume first, as it does get a little confusing initially, as they seem to be one and the same. Now, the outfit is the most important panel here out of the two, as this is our armor set essentially, that also has perks attributed to it, which increases its capabilities up to a maximum of 3 levels, which means that you can upgrade it 3 times at the local tailor by trading in resources, which again, I can't show you right now in the inventory menu, but you're just going to have to take my word for it. But most importantly, you'll need to provide the tailor with a schematic or recipe that allows you to upgrade that specific outfit, with these schematics being found all around the world in chests, completing NPC quests, and ranking up in the Hidden Ones organization. Now, this is where the outfit dye comes in, because you can then equip this armor set and then subsequently change the color of it to something more of your liking. You can also buy unique dyes for specific armor sets from vendors, which only apply to that specific armor set individually and not to all of your armor sets. So that's a nice detailed touch from the developers there. But what about costumes? Well, think of this as your transmog feature in game, where it completely overrides your outfit and dye choice that we just discussed, but it doesn't affect the stats of your outfit or its perks. So in this example, equipping the Master Assassin costume overwrites the Initiate of Alima outfit in terms of appearance, and that's when you get the hidden icon on your outfit panel in the inventory menu. Incidentally, you can obtain costumes from quest rewards and from the online MTX store when it does launch. But as for talismans, they are a cosmetic item that just hangs off your back as a means of cosmetic identification, with more being found in chests and purchased from vendors around the world, with the sword and dagger operating in the same manner as the outfit, where each weapon has a different perk on it, and you can enhance that perk by 3 levels by upgrading it at the blacksmith if you have the correct resources and specific schematics to do so, as these schematics are unique to each weapon and not just a consumable, which you can then cash in for a generic upgrade on any item. Now, the blacksmith is the only place where you can transmog or change the look of your sword and dagger. You can't actually change it quickly in the inventory menu like the costume, which I found quite bizarre as a quality of life feature there. I don't know why that they've done that, but hey, that's just what we've got to do if we want to change the look of our weapons. You've got to go to a blacksmith. There we go. But we also have confirmation here that we won't be able to toggle Bassam's hood on or off during gameplay, which means it will remain up at all times apart from specific cutscenes or cinematics, as well as the armor and outfit slots in the infantry menu being locked, which means you can't unequip it and run around Baghdad in your underpants essentially. But whilst we're on the topic of customization and robes, let's go through together a few famous additions coming to the game, which I think you may recognize and like, because one of the first questions I asked Sarah, which Scather and Black Knight also wanted to know, was will there be an Ezio Revelations outfit in Mirage that we can equip? And awesome news, Sarah told me yes, with a big smile, that there will be indeed an Ezio Revelations outfit coming to the game. And at the time of our interview, this answer was off record, as she wasn't sure if I was able to tell you all, but going back and forth with the Ubisoft team over the last week, they confirmed that the costumes of Ezio in AC Revelations will be available as part of the Ubisoft Connect rewards coming to Mirage, but they wouldn't tell me when that's going to be released. Now, this outfit was actually found in the game files in AC Valhalla over a year and a half ago by Pedder, so we've been wondering if it was ever going to be included in an AC game at all, because it actually hasn't been included in any other AC game released since Revelations. But now we have official confirmation, so it will be in Mirage alongside Altair's AC1 outfit, which will also be available in Ubisoft Connect as well, and I would certainly expect both of these to be released before Christmas. I also tried out photo mode, by the way, in this game, which operates in the exact same way as Valhalla, with no changes that I can make out on the menu screen, but good news that it's being reprised here. Now, let's stay on the topic of these armor sets and robes a little while longer, because Ubisoft have confirmed that there will be new armor sets that will be purchasable in the Animus store. And when I was testing in Bordeaux, I noticed that the store menu was available for me to access, which was subsequently not available on the remote test that I had a few days later back here in the UK. Now, I checked with the team if I could record these store items in my own capture footage, which I was allowed to do so. However, at this particular moment in time, I'm not allowed to show you those store items in a video, but what I can do according to the current embargo guidelines is discuss what is currently there. And it's important to note here that this is subject to change, and I did not see any sort of pricing or commercial information associated with these armor packs. In fact, only what I saw were the pictures of 2 armor sets and 1 weapon pack in the same artistic and marketing display as you can see here from past Valhalla Helix armor sets. Now, the first armor set is called the Fire Demon pack, the second is called the Jin pack, and the third is a weapons pack called the Lightning weapon pack. And I wish I could tell you or show you more, but I can't at this stage. Just know that the Animus store is back for this game, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more armor or weapon packs released again before Christmas. Now, whilst I was playing the game, I also raided the settings menu, which again I can't show you even though I asked, and trust me, I have asked a lot of times over email. I feel sorry for the Ubisoft team. Thank you to them for being so patient, but I can discuss again what's there, such as the guaranteed pickpocket setting, which turns off the minigame, so a super fast way to earn money. You can also turn off the blood special effects, change the difficulty of the game easily, and turn off your whole HUD for complete immersion in the game. You can also play the game with an Arabic voiceover, kind of like how Ghost of Tsushima can be played in Japanese if you want to immerse yourself even further in your Assassin Baghdad experience. Now, Apple also announced recently that their new iPhone 15 Pro will be able to actually play the whole of this game, which is a bit mental actually, as it's crazy how fast technology is coming these days. But this phone is going to set you back a whole grand, and I'm not saying that you're going to pay for an iPhone to then specifically play Mirage on, but hey, maybe one of you is planning on getting this new iPhone, and it may be an option for you on a plane journey, a long haul flight sometime in the future. So good to know there. Now, as this is the only big AC offering until Japan next year, Ubisoft are starting to ramp up the marketing and partnership collaborations with the game, such as this OWO haptic system suit built specifically for Mirage, where you will actually feel the sword or dagger hitting you when fighting against enemies. And I'm really tempted to buy one of these just to wear on stream to take an absolute beating in Baghdad. So do let me know if you'd be keen for that. I think it could be a lot of fun. But that aside, for you collectors out there, Pure Arts have announced a $900 Basim statue with 250 exclusive editions that come with a Mirage-centric ring. The dimensions of this statue are rolling in at 9 kilograms and at almost 80 centimeters or 31 inches in height. So a very decent size here. I personally think it looks great, but it's also nearly $1,000 again. So fair play to you if you decide to pull the trigger on this. Ubisoft have also partnered with Kid Robot to make a Basim plushie for $17 if you're into that kind of thing. And the studio has also released a new podcast called the Baghdad Soundwalks every Monday on all streaming services, which guides you through the history, intrigue, and drama of medieval Baghdad, which gives you a little bit more context before you play the game. So perhaps worth a listen if you're partial to a podcast. Now, if you've watched this far, I just want to say thank you, because this video took an absolute age to make. So if you haven't already done so, please do like and subscribe for more AC content, as I'll be covering Mirage in depth from day one, and it would be awesome to have you along for the ride. Big thanks to Nika, my co-content creator, for helping me make this video, and the awesome UK and Bordeaux Ubisoft teams for showing me their whole game and helping me make this video essentially with all of the information that they shared with me. It's not possible without them. Cheers for stopping by, and as always, coffee is on me.